Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Sunday afternoon here and the markets are currently closed. So I just want to do a quick video just to recap a few things from last week. I want to talk about what I'm going to do with the trades that I'm in going forward this week. So it's sort of just a bit of a preview for the week ahead. And I want to kind of point out a few things that I thought might be important as well. I also want to talk about something a little bit different, something I don't normally speak about. Something I haven't brought up on the channel yet. Now I know this channel, guys, the reason why I put up this channel, just to explain, in the first place was because I want to make sort of I want to document my trading. Let's say, I've been trading for about a year and a half, and I know that there's a lot of bullshit out there, guys, on the internet and on social media about how trading, you can just quit your job and become a Forex trader and make thousands and thousands of euros every month. And it's so easy, and all this kind of stuff. You know yourself, guys. But when you start trading, when you start doing it, I think most people find out that it's not that easy. It's pretty difficult to actually make a living out of this. So I just wanted to basically put up a channel just to kind of show, to be honest, and to show the trades that I'm taking, and am I making any money? Am I losing money? And just to kind of document that, and maybe it might help some people out. Maybe if people see it, it might be good for them to watch. So that was the whole reason for the channel. So I want to kind of keep it to that, but I do want to just talk about something slightly different this week, since it's Sunday and the markets are closed. I want to talk about Bitcoin, and I want to talk about why I think now might be a good time to buy Bitcoin, and why actually I've started to buy Bitcoin, and maybe just get some feedback off you guys. Like to hear some opinions on it as well, if people think I'm wrong or if I'm right or whatever. So yeah, that's basically it. So guys, this channel, it's only a couple of weeks old. I've only got it up and running about 2 or 3 weeks now. So I'd really appreciate, really help me out if you like the video. Just hit like and subscribe down below. And if you've got any questions or any comments, I'd be happy to answer anything I can in the comment section down below. So let's get started then, guys. So last week, if you watched any of my videos last week, you'll see that I was short Aussie yen. That was the plan for the week ahead. Turned out to be a bit of a failure, kind of all around, let's say. The plan was just to try and capitalize on a bit of sort of this risk-off sentiment that had kind of crept into the market from the week before. We kind of seen some strong selling pressure, and we had a break below this kind of area here, which I liked. So plan was to try and just see if we get a continuation on that. We did gap down on the open on Sunday last week, which sort of I read into it and thought, okay, this looks like a good this is making a good impression on the fact that we might go further down on the week. So I sold some here after we kind of pulled back a little bit. I sold some more up here, and then to be honest, guys, when we got a bit of a sell-off later on in the week, I ended up doing something I don't normally do, and that was I closed out the trade at break even. Now, guys, like I said, not something I normally do. Normally, when I'm in a trade, my conviction is sort of pretty good when I'm in a trade, and I'll sort of hold it to my profit target, or I will, get out when the shit hits the fan. Getting out at break even is something I don't normally do. But last week, I don't know, I sort of fell out of love with the trade, let's say, it was kind of just, it was pretty boring, to be honest with you. The trade was just kind of, price action was just going up and down, sort of sloppy price action all week. We kind of basically went down, up, and then ranged out for the rest of the week. And these candles, like, look at these are 4-hour candles, guys, like doji, it was just, I wasn't seeing any sort of clear, definitive direction, and I just kind of felt like maybe it might be a good time to just call it a day, a break even. Plus I had in the back of my mind, I had it that I wanted to get into the Euro Aussie. So when I seen this opportunity to get out and get into the Euro Aussie, I just took it. So that's where we are now. So I'm in the Euro Aussie, I'm long Euro Aussie. I want to be long the euro, essentially, guys. I like the idea of being long the euro at the moment. There's a few reasons for that. One is, the euro data seems to be a little bit better than expected last week. We had the PMIs out, and we've seen some much improved PMIs, even back into expansion territory in some places. And that wasn't expected. So what we might, that might be indicative of the fact that maybe the euro economy is coming back a little bit sooner than people expected. The other reason is, guys, this coronavirus, look, one way or another, guys, whether you believe it or not, or whether you think it's a problem or not, the situation, you know, the facts are the facts, guys, and it's had a huge negative impact on the global economy. Okay, and of course, what's been playing out in the last few weeks now is this reopening trade. You know, the reopening trade is what's brought the S&P 500 from here to here. Sorry, that's not the S&P 500. That's the Aussie dollar. The charts are pretty much identical, guys. Look at this, right? Look at Aussie dollar, and then look at the S&P 500 chart. It's almost identical. So yeah, I mean, that's what's brought it from here to here. It's just, you know, the idea that we're reopening, everything's going to bounce back, etc., etc. And you know, I just don't think that's the case for a start. But I specifically don't think it's the case for America right now, because even though America is talking about, you know, not going to ever go back into lockdown, the fact that their case numbers are pretty much out of control there at the moment, they're having a huge second wave or spike or whatever you want to call it. You know, regardless of whether they go into official lockdown or not, it's essentially going to have the same effect on the economy, guys, because look at what happened to Sweden. You know, I brought this up last week. Sweden, they didn't go into lockdown officially, but their economy tanked just as much as any economy that did go into lockdown, because, you know, guys, people make up their own minds. You know, they make up their own minds, and if there's, you know, a kind of an accelerating uncontrolled pandemic, you know, going through the population, then, you know, people are just going to be more reserved. They're going to do less things, and they're going to take less chances, and it's just going to have, you know, it's essentially going to be the same thing. So why I like the euro is, guys, if you look at, you know, the eurozone, you know, their case numbers are, you know, they've done a good job in Europe. Like, look, you know, every country you look at in Europe, this is the picture you see here. You know, you see a spike, it comes back down, and now the eurozone economy is pretty much back up and running. Nearly everything is back, sort of open, let's say, and the numbers are staying down. You know, they're managing to keep the numbers at a low level. Just hit the wrong button there, one sec. So, you know, that's kind of a good sign, because it means now that, you know, this sort of reopening of Europe is something that maybe, you know, will continue. We might not get the step back that they were kind of expecting after the reopening. So, you know, if you look at America, you'll see it's the opposite. You know, they have case numbers, you know, that are going up and up and up every day. You know, they're in this sort of second wave, and I just think, you know, it's a euro positive, because I think money will flow into Europe now, based on the fact that, you know, they've managed to control the virus, and they've managed to get it under control, and they've managed to reopen, and things are starting to look up. So for that fundamental reason, I'm long the euro. I also like the fact that the ECB were a little bit less aggressive than the Federal Reserve. Say, they kind of reserved themselves a little bit. They said, you know, Lagarde came out last week and she said, look, we don't want to do any more than we need to, if you know what I mean. Whereas the Federal Reserve policy has been, you know, just print, and, you know, we'll just keep printing until we get ourselves out of a hole, and, you know, we're never going to talk about raising rates again, essentially. So I think for those reasons, I like the euro. I think I want to be long the euro. And a euro Aussie makes sense because, you know, the Aussie is susceptible to this risk off sentiment. If we do get a kind of a correction, you know, like if the S&P comes down and we get a serious correction there will be an effect on the Aussie dollar. We will see the Aussie dollar come back down into the sort of mid 60s, I'd say. So yeah, that's basically it. That's the reasons why. That's the fundamental reasons why I want to be long euro Aussie. I'm sure there's a lot of technical stuff. I'm not really a big tech trader, guys, but I'm in it now. I've got a quarter of a lot in here. You can see here, I do have a couple of positions spread out over a little bit of, you know, the sort of spread out here on the chart. I don't normally kind of put this many positions as close together as I have here, but I was just kind of trying to play this range that was going on last week, and I was just trying to increase my position size using the range. You know, the plan was keep a core position, you know, buy the bottom of the range here, and if we broke it, close these positions out for a small loss, and then look for another area to get long further down, whilst, you know, as I said, maintaining a core position. Luckily, I bought a few down here, and we got a bounce late last week, and hopefully we can continue to move further to the upside now coming into next week. Targets on this, guys, I mean, the sky's the limit, really. I'd love to get it up here to around 170. Don't mind, these targets I have here in the chart. That I just put them in last week just to kind of get an idea of sort of profits and stuff like that. But they're moving targets, guys. So don't look too much into that. But I'd love to see it up here around 170. But we'll just have to play it as it comes. I'll try to add in a little bit to this. Maybe I'll open when we, see how the price action is around the open later on. I might add a little bit into it as well. I'd like to get the position size up a little bit more. And hopefully, guys, if things work out on this trade, this could be probably, my biggest trade of the year. I keep saying that, and it keeps cursing me every time I do it. I probably put a jinx on it there now. I probably end up closing this thing out for a loss. But anyway, that's basically why I'm in this trade. Keep watching the videos later on in the week, guys. I'll be posting more videos on this trade as it goes along, and I'll have plenty more to talk about on it. So moving on to the second part of the video, guys, and that's Bitcoin and why I've started to buy Bitcoin. So I did start to buy some Bitcoin about a month or two ago. I bought some around about, I think it was around about here, around between $7,500 and $8,000. I've probably put about two and a half grand into Bitcoin, or maybe a little bit more now. So the reason why I've started to buy Bitcoin is mainly I'm buying it as a inflation hedge. That's sort of the main reason why. I'm looking at these central banks and what they're doing with the fiat currencies, how much printing they're doing. I mean, if you look at the M1 or the M2 dollar, the amount of money that there is in circulation. If you look at these charts, the money supply charts, it's incredible how much money's been printed, trillions and trillions of dollars, and I just think all that money has to go somewhere. I mean, if you're new to this, guys, if you're not, I mean, I'm not really, let's say, very well schooled up on economics or anything like that, but I know a couple of things. And if you're new to this, I'll just give you a brief explanation of how this works, how inflation works. So if you have all the money from a certain country, let's say I'm from Ireland, so let's take Ireland, right? Now we use the euro, but let's just say we were back using the pound back in the days before the euro. So if you take all the pounds in Ireland and you put them into a pile, every bit of money the country has, right? And there's a value of X, let's say, on that particular sum of money, right? If the central bank then goes and prints 3 times that amount of money and puts it in the pile, it doesn't mean that that money is now worth 3 times more than it was before. The money is still worth the same total amount, but the pile is 3 times the size. So what that means is the individual pounds in the pile are now worth 1/3 of what they were before. So the purchasing power of those pounds goes down the more you print money, because you can't print value, you can't print wealth. If you could, there would be no need to pay taxes, and countries would be able to make themselves as wealthy as they wanted. So that's why that doesn't work. You can't print value. The only thing you can do is just increase the money supply so that it's more available, let's say, but you decrease the purchasing power of the money in the supply the more you print. So that's what inflation is. Things become more expensive. So the more money you pump into an economy, the more expensive things in that economy become. So we're printing money at the moment at a rate that's never been seen before, and the exact sort of effects that this is going to have in the long run are pretty much unknown at the moment. But from my perspective, it seems like inflation is probably the only logical outcome long term. Now in the short term, things might be different. In the short term, this might even be deflationary. In the short term, we might see that because the economy has taken such a downturn and people are out of work, and people are banks might have tightened up their lending criteria, and it might be a little bit harder to obtain money. that, you know, that it might be a little bit of a deflationary period at the start, but once the economy comes back, you know, wherever, you know, we don't know how long it'll take. It could be 1, 2, 5 years, 10 years. Who knows when, you know, you're going to get back to a properly functioning economy after all of this. But when it does happen, and when things start firing on all cylinders again, that's when the inflation kicks in, and that's when inflation could get actually, you know, sort of extreme almost, because of the amount of money that's now been printed. And I think that that's why it would be important to have Bitcoin in your portfolio now, because at the end of the day, guys, Bitcoin has a limited, there's a limited amount of Bitcoin, a finite amount of 21 million coins, and there's no more Bitcoin after that. There's 21 million coins, and that's it. And, you know, scarcity creates demand, you know. So, you know, if you can't get a return on your money because you put it in the bank and you don't get any interest rate on your savings, and you can't get a return on your money because the stock market is, you know, in a bear market, or the stock market has been gone sideways because of, you know, whatever reason, and bonds, you know, bonds are pretty much non-return at the moment. You know, there's very few places out there to find a return on your money. So, you know, Bitcoin, you could see some pretty heavy flows into Bitcoin, and gold, of course, is a similar situation with gold as well, but you know, not exactly the same, but, you know, similar reasons for liking gold to go higher as well. So as I said, I mean, in a deflationary environment, I don't really know what happens to Bitcoin. Where does Bitcoin go in a deflationary environment? I don't know. Maybe in the short term we go down, but in my opinion, those are just good buying opportunities, because eventually we will see inflation in the economy, and inflation should really push the price of Bitcoin to, you know, at least new all-time highs, and, you know, whatever, the sky's the limit for Bitcoin in my view, guys. So I think it's, you know, if you've got some sort of money lying around that you're looking to invest at the moment, I think, you know, it would be crazy not to put, you know, 10-15% of that money into Bitcoin, and just hold it for the long term, guys, you know, because as I said, we could go anywhere from here. Now, one thing I want to talk about is, I don't know, I mean, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a technical guy. I don't really look at charts, you know, from a technical analysis point of view, but I have noticed one or two things in Bitcoin which might become even, you know, might make better buying opportunities. And that is that Bitcoin has been reacting almost like the stock market during this past few months. You can see here from March, where we were at, you know, over 10,000 euro or dollars per coin. Once the stock market crashed, Bitcoin crashed as well, and we went down below $4,000 very briefly, and then climbed all the way back up. It looks almost identical to the S&P 500 chart in that regard. So, you know, gold did a similar thing as well. Gold crashed, and then, you know, gold went even higher, but Bitcoin has been struggling to get above 10,000 for a while now. And I'll be interested to see, you know, if we get a pullback or a correction in stocks over the next few weeks, will we start to see some pullbacks in Bitcoin as well? And if we do, guys, I'm just going to buy more. I mean, that's my plan. If I can get, you know, a better average in here, I think, you know, it's a good investment. And I think the next time we go above $10,000, you know, this is just my pure speculation here, but I do feel like we've been trying to get above 10 and stay above 10 for a while now. You can see, you know, just draw a line across here. 10.5 has been a problem number for a while, guys. So I think the next time we go above 10 is probably the last time Bitcoin will be, you know, below 10. I don't think we're going to come back below 10 again the next time we go above it. So yeah, look, I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are on it, guys. As I said, I think it's good. It's an inflation hedge, realistically. It's, you know, Bitcoin is becoming more and more mainstream as a storage of wealth. I think the belief behind it in the sort of mainstream financial, you know, big hitters, they're starting to come in. You're starting to see hedge funds are starting to buy it and things like that. So I think there's more reasons to be long Bitcoin than there is to be short. But as I said, guys, I'd be very interested to hear any thoughts you have on the idea. This was just a quick, you know, display of that correlation that I was talking about. This is Bitcoin and the S&P 500, and if you just look from the start of the year here, you know, just going forward across here, you can see the chart is very, you know, very similar. You know, cratered and then came back up, and same on both sides. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if we do get a correction in stocks. Will we get a better buying opportunity on Bitcoin? I think we might. So that's it, guys. That's it for the video. Like I said, keep an eye on the videos for the rest of the week. I'll be posting the updates on the Euro Aussie long. If you've got any trades that you're in as well, I'd be interested to hear about them. Let me know in the comments down below what trades you're taking and what your plans are for the week ahead too. So guys, good luck with the trading, and I hope this week is good to everybody, and I'll see you in tomorrow or the next day. Bye bye.